Hello YouTube and welcome to another OPNsense tutorial. So in this video we're gonna simply create a secure remote access on OPNsense using OpenVPN. So already let's get started. So in order to actually set up a secure remote access using OpenVPN on our OPNsense, it's pretty easy. You just have to follow some steps, okay? So first thing first, let me log on to my firewall here. Here we go. So now I am in. So the first thing that we have actually to create is a certificate authority, okay? So in order to create a certificate authority, it's also pretty easy. You go to your system here menu, then under the system menu you will find a rubric called trust. So I will click on it, and here you see a lot of actually sub menus. So as I told you, we're gonna create a certificate authority. So we're gonna head to authorities, and here we go. We have already created ones, but we're gonna create our own one, certificate authority. So let's create it, okay? So we're gonna click on this plus button here. Here we go, and we have actually a wizard, or actually a window that we have to fill in. So the method here, we're gonna create an internal certificate authority, okay? So for the description you can put whatever you want. So let's make something very easy. So I will just name it OpenVPN certificate authority, okay? Simple as that. For the key type, you can keep the default, or if you want a stronger encryption, you can choose, for example, here RCA 4096, okay? And for the digest algorithm, you can also choose another strong one like SHA 512 if you want, okay? So keep these settings in all the other actually algorithm that we are not gonna use, okay? But you can leave the default if you want, okay? So after that, for the lifetime, we can also keep the default, which is actually approximately 2 years, which is 825 days, okay? So I will keep it also like that, okay? For the general, here you enter the information corresponding to your organizations. So for example, here I'm in Germany here, so I will choose Germany. And for state of province, I will use, for example, Hessen here. For the city, it's Frankfurt. Organization is live for IT, so I can leave it like that. Organization unit, let's make it IT. For the email address, you can choose your email address if you want. For the common name, I will also use the same one I entered here, which is OpenVPN certificate authority, okay? So I'll just copy and paste that. Here we go. So this is all that we need in order to create this certificate authority, okay? So let's save that. Here we go. So at the bottom, a new certificate authority has been created, as you can see here, okay? So the next step is to create a server certificate, this time not certificate authority, but a server certificate. So I will go to the menu just underneath authorities, which is certificates, okay? So you'll find also the other certificate that you have created, but we're gonna create a special one for our OpenVPN server. So the same procedure, so we'll click on this plus button here in order to add an internal certificate, okay? So we're gonna fill in the important fields. For the description, I will write OpenVPN. This time it's server certificate, server cert, okay? The type, of course, is for the type is the server certificate, not client certificate. And for example, for the keys we will choose the one that we have selected previously, so RSA 4096, and for the digest algorithm it will be SHA-512. okay, and for the issuer here I will use the recently certificate authority that we have created in the step after that, before that, so which is OpenVPN cert authority here. Okay, so for the lifetime I can also leave it with the default, it's good for me. And you can see here the information has been already filled in as we have do in the previous step. Okay, let's just add here organization unit, which is IT in our case. For the common name I will choose the same one here, OpenVPN server certificate. Here we go, and I guess that's all, so let's save that. Okay, and voila, also at the bottom we have the newly server certificate created. Now we have to fulfill the third step. So in this third step we're gonna create a VPN user that will be using in order to connect to our server. So for that I will go to the submenu on your system, which is access. Okay, and under access you will find submenu users. So as I told you, we're gonna create actually user and user certificate. So let's create a user that I will be using in order to connect to my OpenVPN server. So the same procedure, I will click on this plus button here. So this is our user, so you can give it whatever username you want. So let's make something very easy, for example open or VPN user actually. Okay, and for the password I will create a strong one. Here we go. You can here also make a full name if you want, so I will keep, for example, Aminos Ninatos. You can also give it an email if you want. And I guess that's all. So I guess that's all that we need in order to create our user. So let's save that. Here we go. So our VPN user has been created. So before creating a user certificate, it's better to make it an admin also. So before that you go to groups, and here you see the group admins. So I will edit it and I will actually add our user. Okay, so I will make also the VPN user a member of this group. Okay, so let's save that. So now our group admins has two users, root by default and also our VPN user. Okay, so let's return back to our VPN user in order to create user certificate. So I will click on users, I will go to VPN user, and there is here an icon, search certificate by username. So I will click on this icon here, and you can see it has no certificate, so I'll create one. So I will add this time client certificate. Okay, so this is also an internal certificate. So for the name I will use VPN user certificate. Okay, for the type it's a client certificate, so you have to make sure it's type of client certificate here. Let me just delete this typo here, VPN user certificate. Okay, and for the keys I will choose the one that I have chosen in the previous steps, which are RSA 4096, and for the digest algorithm it's SHA-512. Okay, and of course for the issuer I will choose our OpenVPN certificate authority here. I will keep also the lifetime for the days arrays, and we have also the same information here. Okay, for the common name it's better to choose the one that I have here entered, which is VPN user certificate. And I guess that's all, so let's save that. So now if we go to System, Trust and Certificate, you will see that our VPN user certificate has been created also. Okay, so now the final step, or actually it's not the final step, but the most important step is to create our OpenVPN server. So let's do that. So for that we're gonna head to the VPN menu, as you can see here. Okay, and underneath this VPN menu we have the OpenVPN submenu, and here we are not going to use the legacy server or legacy client, because if you click on them you can see that this component is reaching the end of line. Actually, the official maintenance will end as version 26.1, so we'll be using actually instances. Okay, but before creating instance we have to create a static key first. So let's head into this tab here, static keys, in order to create static key. So let's click this plus button here in order to add a new one. So I will name it OpenVPN static key. Okay, and we're gonna click on this gear button here in order to generate a new one. Okay, here we go. So the key has been generated, and let's save that. Here we go. So you can see now we have created an OpenVPN static key. So now we can head to our instances in order to create a new instance. So let's do that. I will go to instances and I will hit this plus button here in order to add a new OpenVPN instance. Here we go. So of course the role is server. For the description, this is our OpenVPN server. Okay, of course it will be enabled for the protocol. By default the OpenVPN using port UDP, but you can change that if you want. So I'll keep with the default, which is UDP, and the well-known port is 1194, but of course you can change that if you want. You can always click on this eye here in order to get more info about this field actually. Okay, for the type is of course tunnel, because we are creating an OpenVPN tunnel here. Server, this is the IP addresses of the remote client that will be connected to this server. So keep in mind it should be different than your local network. Okay, so as local network I'm using 192.168.1.0/24. so I will choose something different, like for example 172.16.1.0. okay, and of course it's /24. okay, the topology also is a subnet, so I will keep that. For the certificate here you have to choose the server certificate that you actually have created previously, which is OpenVPN server certificate, as you can see here. Okay, we're gonna also check this verify remote certificate. Then we keep the other field except the certificate VEPT. Here you have also some options, but we will choose the first one, which is client server. Okay, for the TLS static key, this is here you input the previously created static key. So as you can see here we have our OpenVPN static key that we already created, so we have to choose it like that. Okay, and also for the authentication, as we are using a user on our local database, so we have to select here local database. Okay, and we are heading to routing here. For the routing here, this is our local network. So as I told you previously, I want to get access to my local net, which has this subnet here. Okay. Then after that we have some miscellaneous options that we can configure. So for example, for the option we're gonna choose the client to client. Okay. For the push options, we're gonna select push block outside DNS and push register DNS. You can take a look at the help to see what those options means, but those are the ones that work very good. Okay. For the redirect gateway, I will choose here default. Okay. And I'm gonna also register DNS. And of course here you input your IP of, if you have an internal DNS you can input it here, or you can use the free one provided by, for example, here Google. Okay, so I guess that's all. I'm gonna save this OpenVPN server. Here we go. But you have also to apply to so the changes will take effect. So I will apply here. Okay. So now we gotta go to next step, which is to create an interface, because we must create an OpenVPN also interface. Okay, so for that you go to the interfaces tab, assignment, and you can see here a device is ready to be added, which is OpenVPN server interface. So we're gonna just make it input here description, which is OpenVPN server, something like that. So we're gonna add this interface. And also a very important step, do not forget to enable this interface, because it's created but not enabled. So I'm gonna hit this OpenVPN server and I'm gonna enable it. Okay, so let's save that and apply the changes. Okay, so now everything is set up. We have now to create VPN rules. Okay, so we're gonna head to the firewall menu and rules. So we're gonna actually allow incoming traffic to the one interface here. Okay, so we're gonna go to the one interface and we're gonna create a new rule in order to pass traffic to the actually our server. So the interface is 1, the direction is in TCP IP version 4. The protocol here I will use UDP because we have chosen UDP port 119. Okay, so the source is anyone, and for the destination is actually this one address here. Okay, so for the port here I will choose other, and we're gonna input our port, which is 1194, and same actually here. Okay, so it's also good to log the packet that are handled by this rule in order to see anything happen to your firewall here. So allow, as description, our input allow open VPN traffic actually. So I guess that's all. So let's save that and let's apply the changes. Do not forget, it's very important. So now we have our rule here that has been created, which allow the OpenVPN traffic to our one address. Next we need another rule, but this time on the OpenVPN interface that we have created in order to allow our client to reach the hosts that are connected to our tunnel here. Okay, so we head to the newly created interface for our OpenVPN. Okay, and we're gonna create a new rule. Okay, so it's also a pass rule here. The interface is this interface that we just created. For the protocol here I will keep the IPv4 protocol, that will be any source. Here we are choosing our OpenVPN server net. Okay, here we go. And for the destination, that would be any, we can leave it as it is. And here for the description, our just input allow client access, for example. Okay, it's very important also rule, and we're gonna save it like that, and also apply the changes in order to make them permanent here. Okay, and now we have reached actually the final step, which is pretty easy, is actually to export the client config. So we are heading back to our VPN. We go to our OpenVPN here, and we're gonna client export submenu. Okay, so here for the remote access server, make sure to choose the one that you have created, which is in our case OpenVPN server. Okay, for the export type, I will use here just file only. For the hostname, this is very important. Normally here you will input your static IP address, but if you don't have static IP address, you can use, for example, DNS in order to create one. So I will here use my DNS hostname. Okay, for the port, this is the port that I have chosen, which is the port by default, which is 119, but you can input a port if you have previously set up that on the configuration, but here we are using the default, so it's pretty good. So we keep also the default settings, and in order to actually export this client, you head to your VPN user. Okay, and you click this icon here in order to download it. Here we go. So now, as you can see here, our OpenVPN server certificate has been downloaded, so we can use it with any client in order to connect to our server. Okay, so normally you will just open it. If you have already an OpenVPN client installed, you can just double click on it and it will open like this. So it will ask you if you want to import this OpenVPN profile. So of course you will say yes here. So you have everything here saved. All you have to do is to input your username. So in our case is VPN user. Let's save the password also. Be connected to our actually OpenVPN server. So it was easy like that. So once connected, and if you go to your dashboard here, you can see on the OpenVPN client connection, this is the connection, this is the IP address I'm connected from, and you can see here I get the IP address of the virtual subnet or tunnel that I have created. So it's always good to have this widget here in order to see the connected VPN users. Okay, so that was just a brief video to show you how to set up a secure remote access on OPNsense using OpenVPN. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. And of course, if you have any suggestion for future video, drop them in the comment below. As always, I hope it has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing. Bye bye.